Live from Chicago, Illinois, home of Scottie Pippen Dodge on Western Avenue, it's the Pandemic Talk Show. Featuring TJ Shanoff and the Stay-at-Home Orchestra. Today's guest, Chef Joe Frillman. From the Second City, Mary Catherine Curran. Stand-up comedian Paul Farber. And now your host, the guy who drives the lane in style in his K-car, Justin Kaufman. Live from Chicago.
Yeah, all right. Already trampling on his Pandemic Talk Show live here on Facebook, YouTube, and all the places you get your streaming content. I'm Justin Kaufman with you every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with Goldie and TJ Shanoff. You can like, you can subscribe, you can respect. Is there a button for respect? That'd be good. I feel like that would be the right kind of thing. Like, I respect this. I'll press a button. I'll respect it.
Like, Facebook's got to cater.
It's a like button. You respect this, hit the like button.
No, but the like is too cheap, man. Like is like. But if you had a respect button, I respect this project.
You want to get younger people on Facebook? It's respect, no T, just respect.
I'll take respect, just a concept.
Anything.
As we're in this moment, we're all in, sheltered in place. We should be thinking about how we can improve social media. I think that should be the number one.
Oh yeah,
respect button.
Respect. Goldie, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing okay, Justin. I mean, all things considered, I'm good.
What's your shirt today? Let's see.
Today is Scottie Pippen.
Oh yeah.
Great small forward, Scottie Pippen, which is kind of ties us into the question of the day. We've been obsessed with The Last Dance here. It's the last week of The Last Dance. And today's question of the day for the audience is favorite bull that wasn't Michael Jordan.
Oh,
Today is Dennis Rodman, the Worm's birthday, by the way. He's a big fan of the show. I know it. He's watching right now somewhere in North Korea with Carmen Electra and Madonna. He's watching.
That's such a good question.
So, Justin, who's your favorite?
I don't know. It's got to be Pip, right? Because he was so good and dominating. But I would throw in a vote for Kukoc. Although watching some of these '98 Bulls series that they've been showing on NBC, Kukoc don't play D at all. Like every time, it's so fun to rewatch these because you can kind of get the outcome. Every single time Kukoc is on the court, the opposing team goes at him. Like that's their plan every single time.
I think you got to give the man credit because as far as chain smokers go, he hustled as hard as any chain smoker I've ever seen.
My favorite thing about Scottie Pippen Dodge, by the way, was that when they turned it into a Kia dealership, I think it was after the fact.
Yeah.
They still had the basketball, but they ripped it off, but it was still the outline of it. Everyone knew it was Scottie Pippen Dodge, but it was now like Johnson Kia or whatever. It's really.
TJ, who was your favorite bull that wasn't?
One-time bull, and there weren't many of those, but he won a ring. 97 Chief Robert Parrish came out of retirement. I mean, he's my favorite novelty bull.
Novelty bull.
Like
right.
people
He's my favorite bull that ever had a package of marijuana mailed to his house.
Yes, repeatedly in the greater Boston suburbs. That's right. So Scotty for sure, but I had a weird BJ Armstrong thing. I loved BJ Armstrong to me, especially when he overtook Paxson in I think 93 in that starting lineup. Like BJ was legit for about 3 years.
Yeah. Cliff Levingston doesn't get a shout out. No. Bobby
Good
Hansen.
News.
Cliff was great for the Riviera parties, but I will say for me, Artis Gilmore is my second favorite bull of all
There you
time.
go.
Back when we were kids,
right.
It was the Artis Gilmore show. You might have a little Quentin Daly or an Orlando Woolridge come along. Artis
what was it? Was it Vincent? Sam Vincent? Who was the point
Sam
guard?
Vincent was a point guard.
He came on for like a spell where he got like 30 points in one playoff game. We're all like, that's it. There's no more Jordan. There's Sam Vincent. And that was it.
Also,
Coffee
Granville
Rhodes
Waiters.
Bulls basketball.
Do you remember Granville Waiters? Because every time Granville Waiters would come in the game, you knew it was over one way or the other. He kind of looked like you, Justin, a little bit.
I mean,
TJ, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. Hey, it's the great Stevie Wonder's birthday. How about it?
All right.
So wear a mask and wash your hands. Keep to yourself. Don't see your friends, or else in your plans is death from COVID.
Always upbeat. By the way,
good. And a great
the
birthday
show,
celebration of the great Stevie Wonder.
if you're watching the show like Dennis Rodman, let us know on Facebook Live who your favorite bull is, and we'll read some of those later in the show.
Not Michael though. Your favorite non-Michael bull.
Non-Michael bull.
I like the favorite novelty bull. That's
That one too. Let's say like a Jack Haley and Ed
yeah. It's
Haley.
got to be a novelty bull when they go. Yeah, the guy who backed up Bill Wennington.
Larry Christowiak. I might just be making that name up.
Joe Keefe, not Joe Keefe. He ran.
Joe Keefe and Joe Klein.
Joe
Klein.
Klein. Joe Klein.
All right.
No,
Well,
you know,
good show.
Bison Daly won't return my calls, so I gotta figure out.
Too soon. Too soon.
All right, I gotta go.
All right, we got a great show lined up. Comedian Paul Farahvar is going to be here. He's got a great podcast, his singles only podcast. Just hit its 200th episode. So we'll talk with Paul, who's the mainstay over at the Laugh Factory. Also, he'll do our bit we've been doing on the show, workshop some quarantine jokes. Because I mean, what else is there to do, right? We help the comedians workshop their quarantine jokes. Mary Catherine Curran, who's a great, I mean, main stage, also improv partner here with Goldie, with their Kukoc and Pippin. Do you have is it Kukoc and Pippin or Pippen and Kukoc?
Kukoc and Pippin. It's alphabetical.
Yeah, right.
We based the name. Well, I guess I could wait on that one.
Yeah, we'll wait on that one.
Yeah.
Mary Catherine will join
for
us.
the show.
Coming up as well, talk about what she's doing, new show she's up to. But first, we're talking a lot about restaurants and what's going to be the new normal when all this is done. And it's interesting to see the restaurant industry, which has pretty much been shut out by the federal government, be creative and innovative and forward thinking, almost prescient in a way, thinking about what restaurants are going to look like. And a lot of them are shifting to grocery stores. And that's something that's also happening at the great Daisies restaurant in Logan Square. Chef Joe Frillman joins us now on the Pandemic Talk Show to talk about it. Yeah! Chef Joe! There he is. Oh, yeah, that's a look. There it is.
Oh, no.
That's a look. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's Goldie, you shaving your beard. Look at that. That's how you do it.
When I shaved my beard off and I did that thing on Instagram where I had the handlebar,
yeah.
he just sends me a message with twinning.
Instantly.
Chef Joe, thanks for being here. You look good, man. You look good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my wife absolutely hates it.
No. How's it possible? It's such a good look.
Yeah, I told her I'm keeping it until we reopen the dining room here. So God knows what this is going to look like.
My wife just texted me, "Oi, Joe."
My wife.
All right, let's get into it. So the Chicago Magazine I think they broke the news a little bit this week just about you guys making the shift, shutting down the carryout part and moving to grocery store. You and other restaurants in Chicago are moving in that direction. There's a great part right at the end, and they talk about it, that when this is over, you still may have to continue to do that. What was the impetus for you to move from being a successful, widely respected restaurant to a grocery store?
Well, it's going to be a kind of a hybrid. So we're going to continue to do the pickup service for a la carte. Some of our item menus that we used to serve in the restaurant will be still available, and they still are available. We reopened last week, Tuesdays through Saturdays, 4 to 8 p.m. to pick up some a la carte meals that we used to prepare in the restaurant. With the shift that we've seen, we have a back room in the restaurant that is the transition from the actual dining room to the patio. And we figured it would be a good place to start offering some of the things that we use in the restaurant on a day-to-day basis that would make your meals at home even better. So you guys have access to you will have access to a lot of the ingredients that we use in the restaurants. A big catalyst for me personally, my brother, he owns now 2 farms that feed a lot of his product in through our restaurant. One of them was the farm setting that I grew up in, was 8 acres up in Prairie View, Illinois, just around Buffalo Grove. He recently purchased Leaning Shed Farm in Michigan, which is another 30 acres. And we've been working hand in hand through the restaurant and driving a lot of his produce through what we do here. But now that, the situation is, he lost all his accounts, not all, but most of his accounts for restaurants. And all of his farmers markets at the same time. So the farmers market's being closed. So all of his revenue is gone. And so we were trying to figure out what better ways we can help each other out. Family, you know, you get in and you work with them from the beginning. You kind of saddled with them from that point on. So I wanted to help him out as well. But it is something that we've always talked about prior to even the restaurant, was like, how could we have this outlet to give the general public just straight from, not even farm to table, it's farm to their door. And now we're looking at delivery aspects as well. So
yeah, it's a tremendous innovative idea. What will it take for it to be successful? I mean, obviously butts in, you know, through the turnstiles, but do you see that the audience that used to love, or the consumer that used to love to go to the restaurant, is going to make that transition to getting restaurant quality food from you in other places?
Absolutely. I think there's not many options, to be honest with you right now. I personally miss eating out in restaurants, you know, just like everybody else. But I also feel like this is forcing everybody to kind of stop, slow down, and get back into the kitchen. If so many of us have kind of gotten out of that situation, nobody cooks at home like they used to. And this has kind of forced that back, people back into their kitchens. And a lot of times, you know, they don't have the skill set that a lot of us most of us in the restaurant have. And for a home cook's perspective, if you can get some of your product prepared for you, so that it makes it a little bit easier for you to make dinner, as opposed to you know, wondering why whatever it is you made doesn't taste quite like when you get it in the restaurant.
Yeah. Well, you'd be happy to know that today, like a total asshole, I made a quesadilla, so that was really good.
Well,
Hey.
Yeah.
I make quite a few quesadillas as well.
It was really, I was being goaded on by my wife as she was doing the Instacart order. And she's like, why don't you ever meal plan or do anything, and you can't cook? And I'm like, I'm going to make a quesadilla. Watch this. And I burned it, but I made it. So that's what counts.
Did you eat it?
I did eat it. Oh, I ate it. I ate it. Oh, good. So it's gone. For you, I'm fascinated by this because the Restaurant Association came out. They're mad at Pritzker for unilaterally deciding restaurants are in the phase 4, phase 5 of the Illinois plan. There's so much of contentiousness around when we're going to reopen. For restaurants in general, it's not just about opening, it's what you're going to look like when you open, because obviously capacity is an issue, how many people are let in. Do you want to lend your voice to this, what's becoming a political argument, but to this argument about when we should reopen?
In terms from personally, I want to do this in a safe fashion. I think that, you know, first and foremost, we should be making sure that we're not doing more harm than good to the health of the community. I think that's paramount. After we go outside of that, I have a lot of different views on this, but when the decision came to kind of stretch it out, these guys have information that we don't have access to. So I'm one of these people who wants to put my faith in the people that we elected to do the things, to whether you elected them or not, to do make the decisions for us. So there's nothing I can do about that. We're going to go ahead and proceed with the business the way they let us to, the way that we feel is safe. But we also, we want to provide some normalcy to people's lives as well. We want to be able to have something where, in Logan Square, it is a large community. The people that come to the restaurant, I can't tell you the outpouring of support that we've had. We want to be able to give back to them as well. And we're going to do it as safely as possible. You do worry about the business, and you worry about, how long is this going to take? But sometimes that's just life, and that's what we got to do. I don't know what else. I don't want to be in a position where we open up too soon to have people be subjected to something that could potentially really harm them. And I think that's a huge, we take that to heart.
Yeah. Well, the restaurant, the great restaurant Daisies, which is Logan Square, was already on the way to being one of Chicago's best. And now it's making a detour, but leading the way. And that's what I love about it, is that you're really going to see so many different industries have to do this, to think about what's next. And the restaurant industry is doing it. And Chef Joe is doing it at Daisies. You can go there. What are the hours again? You can do pickup and carry out, but you also have the grocery store side.
Yeah, so we have a virtual market that you can pick up from. Right now it's 4 to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. That is going to go to the virtual market aspect of it is going to be 10 to 8 Tuesday through Saturday, where you can pick up. The a la carte service for pickup for hot meals that we prepare in the restaurant is 4 to 8 for dinner service. And then every Sunday right now, we're going to have a rotating group of individuals where we have a kind of a market that they can walk through from 10 to 2. We have select individuals, my brother, produce, farmers, purveyors, small businesses that have been really affected by this. We wanted to give them a place that they can sell their products as well.
I love it. It's a family affair over in Logan Square. Chef Joe Frillman from Daisies. Thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for being a guest on the Pandemic Talk Show.
Nice work. Can I just throw in too? I mean, that's a 2018 Banshee Award neighborhood restaurant of the year. And
I love that place.
Twice Michelin Bib Gourmand the last 2 years.
And a location in Abby's work in progress.
That's true. I guess I should full disclose that I'm a partner in Daisies.
Oh, don't say
What?
that.
You didn't tell us that.
Trick him.
But I got to give Chef Joe props. He's always been at the cutting edge of what's going on in the restaurant world. Made it so that everyone who worked in the restaurant had benefits, and he's a fantastic businessman.
I can't believe, I mean, I don't want to get into it with him, but it's like, you get so frustrated as an American, the way that restaurants have been treated and all this kind of thing, like they don't matter, or they're expendable. And you've seen even so many restaurants and guests who've been on our program talking about not getting the PPPs or not just beyond. And, I was just talking about this today. It's not just about that's just payroll protection. That's paying what about paying the rent? What about paying all the other stuff that restaurants have no income coming? I mean, all businesses don't, but restaurants in particular. It shows you in these times, I hate saying in these times, but it shows all of the inefficiencies that already existed in the business, and it just magnifies them all. Well, I will say this, I don't like to get political, but I did see the Republican senators today saying that the House bill coming out from the Democrats was dead on arrival. And I'm sad because the Republicans in the Senate figured me out that I just want to stay home, live off the teat of the government. They've been circling around for a couple of years, but they finally figured me out. They caught me in the act. It took its coronavirus, but yeah, sure. I just don't want to work. I want to hang out in my house all day.
All I want is to be treated as well as a cruise ship company that doesn't actually pay taxes in the United States. That's all I'm asking for.
Where I differ from you guys is Reagan was right. It will trickle down, gentlemen. It's coming.
It trickles down.
You got to give it you got to give it time. But, it'll fucking trickle down. Thanks, Ronnie. Speaking of which, his wife went here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, how about that?
We met her
in 83.
We met her. That's amazing.
She told us just say no, but she and I said yes. I don't know.
We said yes.
Anyways,
I
gotta read. We're so good at segueing on this show. Off Their Plate is a grassroots nonprofit that partners with impacted chefs and restaurant owners to provide meals to healthcare workers on the front lines of our fight against COVID-19 and provide economic relief to the restaurant workers affected most acutely by the pandemic. They're working in Boston, San Francisco, New York City, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, Chicago, DC, Philly, and Seattle, and so far have delivered more than 23,000 meals across the country, including over 2,000 right here in Chicago, where they work with 7 restaurants and 20 health facilities. Anyone interested in more information can go to offtheirplate.com. That's offtheirplate.com. And if you have a charitable read you would like done on the air, reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter at Pandemic Show, on Snapchat, where TJ sends pictures out. I don't know. That's all we got.
Yeah. I just got breaking news though. The Senate Republicans just said that that's dead on arrival. If you want to do a charitable read on the Pandemic Show, it's dead. DOA.
Well, we're now the underground.
Anyone doing any Novelty Bulls on our chat?
So far, yeah. Well, they haven't been so much Novelty Bulls. We do have a Joe Klein fan out there. We also, Melvin loves the Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah era, of course.
Great era.
Great era that ended abruptly.
It was a great era, just ended too soon. It was like Penny and Shaq with Orlando. We didn't go to the finals, but it was that kind of starburst, yeah.
I want to know, Vinny's commenting, but he's not telling me. People are out there commenting, but they're not telling us who their favorite Novelty Bull is.
I got lucky and I got invited to go to the Bulls game I guess it would be game 5, where LeBron and the Heat knocked him out when we thought after that first game of the Eastern Conference Finals where Taj Gibson when Taj Gibson dunked and we were going to win the whole thing and then we lost 4 straight. I've never been in a United Center bathroom peeing with 40 different men and as quiet as possible. Like when that game was over, no one was talking. It was the quietest urinal in the history.
Well, now that's a great Chicago sports question. What were the urinals like at Wrigley in Game 7 in 03? The troughs.
The troughs.
What were they like?
They were not good. They were not pleasant.
Are they ever pleasant?
There's something about the trough that I think maybe they'll have to reevaluate that in the.
Yeah, you can't have
post-COVID
COVID-19
era.
with a trough, right?
No.
No. All right. Our next guest has a show. She's got a show tomorrow night. She's improv partners with Goldie here in the show Kukoc and Pippin. And she is part of the main stage cast at the Second City here in Chicago. Mary Catherine Curran, welcome to the Pandemic Talk Show.
There we go.
Mary
Oh,
Catherine,
thank
how
you,
are you?
John Tesh. Thank you, John Tesh. Thank
Thanks for
you. Wow. That is the nicest intro I've ever gotten. The nicest thing TJ has ever done for me.
Wait a minute. I gave you some meaty blackouts on the cruise ship.
That's true. You know what? You did.
I don't know what meaty blackouts means, but I
think we know.
I think we know. I realize that you have relationships with these gentlemen that are in the program. We've never met, but
Yes,
I will
hello.
say you do have the awesome trivia question answer to who was on stage before they shut it all down at Second City in 2020. So that's kind of awesome. Like part of
Yeah,
Second City history.
for sure. For sure. It's like the 60th year. That's it. We can't go further than that.
What was it like to be in that moment? I mean, obviously performing in front of the houses that you did at main stage and over and over and over. But as we got closer to the fact that they were actually going to shut down production, what was that like being on stage and being a part of that sort of dangerous moment?
It was wild. This was my first main. I've had kind of a crazy year, so just this feels like, of course, this is happening right now. Yeah, I mean, it was Thursday the 13th. That was our last show, and they had met that morning, and we were really not sure what was going to happen. And then it was just kind of a last minute, hey, we're going to shut down because it's not safe for you guys and it's not safe for the audience. I mean, everybody's packed in like sardines in that theater. So it's probably best that happened. But I think, like, unfortunately, I think for me, and this just speaks to the state of media and our unfortunate leadership, that I was sort of like, it's probably not that bad, but this is okay. And at that point, we were only shutting down for 2 weeks. Right. And then that Monday, we got the call that it was 8 weeks at least, and now it's just indefinite. So it's been a really hard transition. Mommy has a hard time when she doesn't get laughs and claps. Not easy for her. So,
like many comedians, you're transitioning to the stream world, and you got a show tomorrow night. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're very excited. The casts of the main stage in Toronto and Chicago are coming together for like the first time ever to do any sort of content together, really. The current casts, at least. And some of the ETC in Chicago as well. And we're creating this sort of online variety show that will be hosted by myself and a Toronto cast member, as well as a former ETC member, Alan Linick. So Nigel and Alan and I are hosting. And then we have contributed bits from all of the cast members that are in those shows, which is super exciting because we've all been sitting around twiddling our little thumbs for a while, and it's just nice to be able to be working on something. So it's very exciting, and we have some really fun stuff. It's our first show, so it's kind of a we'll see how it goes situation. None of us are really ready for this kind of transition, but I think it'll be a really welcomed, fun thing for all of us personally, and hopefully for everybody watching, that we'll be able to have some fun and work together and enjoy ourselves.
Well, Mike will put up the link. I'm assuming secondcity.com will have the info, but you can
100%. Yeah, you have to, it's kind of like a Zoom webinar, and there will be improv, there will be film sketches, there will be live sketches, which will be really cool and fun. And we'll also have some fun bits in between about what's happening right
I'm just
now.
surprised. I mean, you have such talented guys in this room, both TJ and Goldie, who I would think you'd want to have a part of this show. I'm surprised you guys didn't get the call.
We are already busy on this show getting paid the big bucks.
Can we pull back for just a moment? What's improv?
Great question, TJ. As I taught to Sir Charles Barkley on the Steam Room.
I loved it.
One of the highlights of my life was that, and I got to do an interview during All-Star Weekend with Barkley and Ernie Johnson.
Oh yeah.
And it was surreal and amazing. And I was improvising with Charles Barkley, and he had no concept of the idea. And this TJ also doesn't have a concept of this either. It's called
Nope.
Yes and.
What?
Yes and what happens is you say
I'm not TJ.
Yes, exactly. So that was one of my favorite things. And Ernie Johnson just riding him, being like, "It's yes and."
I
Beautiful.
could see that to be a problem. But you guys have also done improv shows together, Goldie, Mary Catherine, Kukoc and Pippin.
Mhm. I wore my shirt because I saw
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow, look at that.
he had his on, so
They
I
don't make a Kukoc shirt. They don't make a Kukoc shirt.
I put my gear on, and I was like, "Oh shit," because sorry.
No, it's
No,
all
you
right.
can say
What
that.
the
here.
fuck you want?
There's no boss on the line. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
It's all good.
So I saw he was wearing his, so I was like, "Oh, I gotta change. I gotta put this on." So
Oh, that's good. That's
Well,
good.
you know,
So-
Kukoc and Pippen had a great clash. Remember, I think we might have talked about this in '94 Eastern semifinals, right, against the Knicks. Phil Jackson. There's no Jordan. Jordan's playing baseball at 202.
mhm.
They're down to the last shot, and they draw up the play to go to Kukoc. And Pippen was like, not having it. I mean, we all saw that on The Last Dance. He's like, I'm not having it. And he stayed on the bench while Kukoc hit the winning shot.
I
So
loved
you kinda
Tony
use
being
that.
like, and I had hit lots of game-winning shots, you know. So like, I don't understand why like he's so mad, you know. Like I'm good. That's more like that's like less correlation, more sad German, but you know what I'm saying. Like
I
No,
make
it's
the
good.
shot. I do Kukoc
do
on stage,
good.
more like an Italian, but you know, he
he'll
he
always walk
smoked.
out and he'll say, "I'm Tony Kukoc," and I say, "And I'm Scottie Pippen." And something I don't like to do is tip. What's something you don't like to do?
And then we start by screaming at each other, and then we
Always.
work from the
Actually,
anger.
you
We
can
work from
see I
anger to
have
resolution.
Our poster
Nice.
right there.
And then we worked together on One Woman Space Jam,
We did.
where Mary Catherine recreated the entire film Space Jam
Mhm.
as one
That's
woman.
perfect. That's
Right.
perfect. How do you do that now with the R. Kelly business? It's hard to do
No,
that
but that was
now.
part of it. That was a part of the whole thing, was because I grew up, I'm from the DC area, so I grew up a Washington football fan, and hashtag Juwan Howard, go Bullets. And that was for TJ. And so, you know, part of my childhood was rooting for a team that is 100% offensive. So I think a big part of it was like, you know, learning about how your heroes, I mean, Michael Jordan, I don't know. I will say this, in watching The Last Dance, nothing does make me hornier than Jordan being an asshole. It is honestly my favorite thing. Him laughing at Gary Payton, it
On
is
the iPad.
the funniest thing. I was laughing at that for so long. And so, you know, part of the whole wrap up of the show was about, you know, what happens when your heroes become human and when the things that you loved are actually super problematic.
Fair
Now
enough.
let me sing I Believe I Can Fly by the most problematic person in the entire world, R.
I
Kelly.
know. I know. Took away a good karaoke jam. That's the
Oh,
downside
yeah.
to that. Yeah. All
You know
all
what's
of the
funny though,
Kelly.
Justin? People aren't stopping singing I Believe I Can Fly in karaoke. Okay. There's still too many people out there who are like, you know what? The world still needs this
Right.
song.
That's Chicago right now. Half of Chicago's still doing R. Kelly karaoke, and the other aren't wearing masks. It's like
There's a correlation
No,
there.
we're doing both, honestly.
Okay, so tomorrow night, secondcity.com, check it out. Mary Catherine Curran and the cast of the main stage, both in Chicago and Toronto. I'm glad you made some of the ETC in there. Just some.
Yeah, they're working on some other stuff too, so they can,
They get their own thing. The
They
ETC's
do.
got their own space,
They
right?
do.
Mary Catherine, pleasure to have you on the Pandemic Talk Show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Oh, wait, I forgot to say.
Oh,
Go.
we'll never know.
One
Oh,
more
no.
thing.
Jay kills it. Mike's like, ouch.
She
I got
go.
dinner plans.
Mary
after-
Catherine, if you're out there, text us. Let us know. Comment. We want to know what that last thing was.
This is like in the Howard Stern show. If that was Baba Booey making the cut, we would just stay on Fouché for the next 10, 15 minutes
And berate him for.
and berate him for that move.
We
I'm really-
still can.
I'm really sorry, guys. Sorry about that.
Exactly.
Is that the first Boucher? 431 on whatever the fuck it is.
That's 431 with our executive producer, Mike Fouché.
I didn't even know you had a mic, buddy.
Perfectly, because Mike is involved with this next company. It was just 420. And we just had a month of 420. But it's just the beginning for the cannabis industry, and grownin.com is the news and information resource for those in the cannabis industry and those looking to learn more. Grown In is a proud sponsor of the Pandemic Talk Show and a terrific place for you to learn about the ins and outs of Illinois' newest essential industry. Curious about MSOs, craft grows, and the latest in industry news? Be in the know and get in the grow with Grown In. Subscribe today at grownin.com.
All right. That was a nice read. All right. Did anybody else care about the Novelty Bulls?
We did. We got a few here. We got Mike Silverman loves that Rory Sparrow. Melvin Guaman loves Nate
classic.
Robinson. Scott Cooper wanted to point out that Artis Gilmore is not related to Happy Gilmore. And Mary Catherine Curran says, I was going to say my favorite bull is any bull that didn't go to Duke University.
Yeah.
That
Screw you,
is-
screw
that
you,
is the right
Carlos
answer.
Boozer.
I saw it in one of the shots. I think it was either in the shows that I'm watching or the games I'm watching now, or maybe the Last Dance, where Corey Booth was in the huddle. Like he was, remember Corey Booth? Like he was like, he was like a practice squad guy, and he was like and then I was kind of annoyed that I've been watching these games, and maybe he's not on the team in '98, but what happened to Jason Caffey? Wouldn't he have been on the '98 Bulls?
He got traded to, I think, Golden State,
Like halfway
he
through
did.
that year?
which might have brought back Scott Burrell that year.
I don't know, but I was just like,
Long
where the
time
hell's
ago.
Caffey? I'm like,
If you got Dickie Simpkins, you don't need Caffey.
yeah, and I was
Dickie
surprised
Simpkins.
Simpkins was there. Yeah.
I actually think Dickie Simpkins and Jason Caffey might be the same guy.
They might be. All right, our last guest today is a stand-up comedian. He can be seen at Laugh Factory and all over Chicago. He's got a podcast called Singles Only, which just celebrated his 200th episode, which is impressive for a podcast. He is on the program now, the Pandemic Talk Show. Welcome, Paul Farber. Paul, good to see you, buddy. Look at that. Seamless. Good to see you.
I'm
you
a
doing,
pro.
buddy?
I'm good. But I don't want to get political right off the top, but I do want to say a couple things. Number one, what about Rusty LaRue
Right.
Points.
That's good.
and JoJo English?
JoJo English, right?
Who got in the fight with Derek Harper that they left out of the fucking documentary?
Yes, these are things I know. You know, you wanted to talk about novelty. Rusty
Yep.
LaRue. I mean, just the name tells you everything you need to know.
Paul, you're
And,
a podcast guru, so why don't we do a new podcast called Left Out, and it'll be all the storylines from the '90s Bulls that didn't make it in the Last Dance, right?
Yes, it's so hard to like wait till the next episode. Like this is the greatest thing that's happening and I don't want to humble brag, but I was at the last
Oh,
Bulls
look
game
at
that
that.
they won with Michael Jordan in '98. They went
how
on
about
to win the
that?
next day in Utah, but I was there for that game. No big deal.
No biggie. No big deal. No big deal.
And that's it. I didn't want to start controversial. And I do want to say that the troughs at Wrigley are always splendid. So
Well, maybe- to each
There's
their own.
nothing worse than the troughs. I'm hoping that the coronavirus can be the reason that they rip those things out, right? That's the one thing. Also, I haven't been up there. I'm a Sox guy, and I know that pisses everybody off here, but
You're the
I
one.
haven't been to Wrigley Field in a while, and I drove by family did a Sunday drive. We didn't get out. We just kind of drove around Chicago, stir crazy. And they painted that thing green, and they painted Wrigley Field green and like tan. Did you see this? Like, is that a new thing? Is that all last year too? Or what's the deal? Like, why is they making it? They're trying to make it look more old timey than it is. And I don't know why they're doing that.
I mean, it was always greenish. They just made it, they just leaned in a little with a lower hue, perhaps. But I'm not an expert.
You're not a paint guy, you know?
No, I mean, I used to work at Glidden. No, I don't know.
Great Glidden pull.
I think
Yeah.
the original sign was green.
Yeah,
I can't remember the reason they painted it, but the original Wrigley sign was green, and maybe it was the anti-Irish fervor in the early parts of the 20th century. I don't know.
I heard that was a big part of it. Yes, that's going to be a new podcast, Left Out, with Justin Kaufman.
Left out, yeah, that's right. All right, so let's first talk about Singles Only. Congratulations on 200 episodes.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
This is really a podcast about dating in Chicago. Now it's all about dating in the COVID area. We were kind of joking on our first call today just about how people do that. I mean, is that something now, if you're going to go on a Tinder date or anything like that, you're like, well, we usually would a neutral spot, but why don't you come over to my bedroom? Like, how does it work when you can't actually go out anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder if you're meeting new people for the first time. Especially, I think it's a little scary to go to somebody's house that's a stranger, which I highly don't recommend doing. But yeah, I mean, in some ways it's harder, but then in some ways it's almost easier too, because you cut to the chase a lot quicker. You're like, okay, well, there's not a lot of things we can do. And my other option is to wait till Sunday till the last dance comes on. So I'm free all week. Come on over.
Yeah, true.
And it's not bad. But I mean, yeah, it's as long as if I did go on a date during quarantine, I asked like 80 questions. I was like, how long, where were you at? It's almost like applying for a liquor license at a bar. Cause like you go through everybody in the family. You're just like, okay, so is anyone in that family work as a nurse or a first responder? You know,
it's probably bad news that they're like, oh my God, my roommate is on the third shift over at Stroger. You're like, all right, you know what? We'll call it. We'll call it a date here. Right?
You have to be a little more. Those are the questions that take the lead, as opposed to the other stuff that you would ask up top, like your thoughts on the trough at Wrigley, which is something I ask right off the top.
Yeah, true. The obviously you can check out all the episodes, Singles Only, and you can find it at Paul's website and everything. We'll put a link up. You also, as a stand-up comedian, how has the transition been from doing shows in front of people to doing shows in front of computers?
Well, the first 2 weeks I was anti the Zoom show. I was like, well, I'll just wait for the real thing. But then, you get antsy. You got to try stuff out, and I did some Zoom shows, and I actually like it a lot. And I'm like scared that it's going to be like one of those cliche things where you're going to be a good Zoom comedian, and then I'm going to go on a real show, and I'm going to be like, oh, how does this work? I'm used to having like gimmicks, but no, they're fun. It's not the same, but it definitely is like. It's like when I think it would be like if you were married for a while and then you're back dating, and then you have to wear condoms for the first time in like 9 years. So I think that's something I would think. It's
that's
like
the takeaway about doing Zoom shows, like wearing a condom. Speaking of,
it's like, yeah.
Speaking of Zoom shows, not condoms.
Jason Caffey, no.
Yeah, Jason Caffey. So, as we end here, just talk about, we always do the workshop bit. Comics in quarantine, there's a lot of time by yourself, man, trying out bits, maybe on Twitter, trying different ways, but you don't have an audience to play off of. So we offer that support, that resource. So if you got a joke you're working on in quarantine, have at it. Try it out on us.
Okay, so I have two things. One that I've already done that I would say is, I've done it like 5 times, so it's not new, but it does work. Do you want to go on a high note, or do you want me to try this other thing first?
Let's do them both.
Okay, well, the first one's not done, but it is a true story. Before all the quarantine started, I was in Vegas for like a week of shows at the Tropicana with John Campanera, Chicago comic legend. And there's a Walgreens on the Strip, and I bought these 2 like sanitize. It was 2-for-1 sanitizers, right? And they were like 2.2 ounces, whatever. And they were like the best sanitizers I've ever had. Like one was like raspberry and the other one was like green apple. Did you guys know that they had that back before all this? They were amazing. They were amazing. But then when I was leaving, I was like, okay, I can only steal so many things from this hotel in terms of shampoo and conditioner. And there were 2 sanitizers full. Like I only used like half because you shake hands at the end of the shows, which obviously we're not going to do anymore. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I thought that because they were like 2.2 ounces, I wouldn't be able to get them on the plane because I'm Middle Eastern, so it's a little harder for us. Especially in Vegas, I've had some hard times. So I left. I didn't take the green apple. And like about 4 times during this quarantine, I've had dreams of that green apple sanitizer. And like I wake up like where like that cleaning lady has it and like she's selling it on eBay because it was like the greatest thing ever. And 4 times it's this green apple sanitizer has showed up in my dreams in like the weirdest places. And like I'm like, I need it back. So that's it. It doesn't have a joke. It's just something I wanted to work on.
It's good. That's anecdotal.
I will
Everybody's
tell
doing
you
bits.
that-
Yeah,
It's
no,
the most
everyone
delicious.
Yeah.
It's the most delicious of all the hand sanitizers.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you think about. It's like I can't go a day without thinking about. It's like when you don't eat the last bite at Portillo's. Like how often, like you get home, you're like, oh, I really wish I had. That's what I feel like with the sanitizer. But as far as jokes,
Yeah, what do you got?
yeah, as far as a joke, I always like find the silver lining, right? Being positive during all this stuff. Like there's certain things obviously that are going to be different on the other side that are good. I think like one is, you know, they say that when you buy new jeans, you're not supposed to wash them, right? You're supposed to put them in the freezer. That's what hipsters do. You're supposed to put them in the freezer. So now, like, hopefully we're not going to do that anymore because germs will go on your like popsicles and corn dogs. So that's like a one thing that's easy. The other thing is obviously with haircuts that like the barber would like blow on your ear to get like the stuff, the hair out of your ear. You guys have that? I don't know. Justin,
Sure.
No, I've never had that.
You know.
happen.
I'd report that guy.
Yeah, like now it's like what you don't have to worry about being excited when that happens. But the biggest thing that I think that we've gotten out of this is that we can finally like dismiss astrology and horoscopes. Like that is something that's taken up paper space for years. And like now it's a complete disaster, right? Like there was nothing in a horoscope that said be ready to cry a lot for 30 to 90 days and like watch all your dreams just disappear. It's like what the internet did to travel agents, right? Like this is like the time where we can now say astrology is no longer. And if you don't believe me, look at your horoscope for the day before we went into quarantine. That's what I did. Mine was March 10th, and here's my horoscope verbatim. It said, okay, it says, do something different today because you will need extra stimulation. Obviously, travel would be an excellent choice because it gives you a chance to see new places, meet new faces, make some personal and physical connections with strangers. Go to China.
Sagittarius.
That's a good bit. That's a good bit, right?
I
That's
mean,
strong. I like that.
Yeah.
Goldie, you like that one? That's a good bit.
I do
take
think
that
it's a
one on the
good
road.
bit.
Yeah. TJ?
Yeah, it's a great bit.
Great
It works
bit.
on Zoom.
It works on Zoom. Zoom comedian Paul Farber's here. Singles only podcast. You can find it. We'll put the link up. The 200th episode just dropped. Paul, great to always have you. Thanks again for being a guest on the Pandemic
Thanks
Talk.
so much, Justin. Thanks.
Awesome. There you go. We even talk about lawyer stuff. He's a great comedian lawyer as well. That's going to do it for the Pandemic Talk Show. We're back tomorrow. We got a great show. It's going to be an awesome ender. We jammed it packed. So many people. Jim DeRogatis is our guy right at 4 o'clock. So join us tomorrow. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy birthday to Dennis Rodman. Happy 100th birthday to Baba Fira.
We love you, Stevie.
Happy birthday, Baba Fira. 100. She's not watching, but her family is.